Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Today we're going to be chatting about amino acids and improving your mood and cognitive function. We're going to dive in here. Really excited about this topic. Before we do, make sure you smash that like button, really helps. Hit that bell so you get notifications of great content in your subscription feed. And let me know about your comments down below. Do you have any mood issues? What's been your experience with amino acids? Really curious to know. All right, let's dive in. So amino acids are the breakdown products of protein. So you have protein, right? Imagine like a pearl necklace, right? That's protein. Now you break each individual pearl off that necklace, that's an amino acid. So those amino acids make up protein. You have eight to nine or so essential amino acids your body can't make. You have other ones that are not essential your body can make. And there are specific amino acids that we use therapeutically that can help with mood and energy and focus. So serotonin is a really important amino acid that we work on supporting, and we can support that through tryptophan or 5-HTP. And there's a really important cofactor to make 5-HTP or tryptophan go to serotonin, which is B6. B6 is very important. But serotonin has really important effects of feel good, happiness, right? Good mood, sleep, relaxation. So serotonin is very important from that perspective. The other key amino acid is dopamine. Dopamine is the focus neurotransmitter. It's the I love you neurotransmitter. When you feel that sense of love and connection, that's all dopamine. And dopamine also can get converted downstream to adrenaline or noradrenaline. Again, the same word, epinephrine, norepinephrine, or catecholamine, they're the same word for the same thing. But these compounds are stress hormones. They help our stress neurotransmitters, and they help us deal with stress. So the more chronically stressed we're at, the more we actually pull dopamine downstream to make adrenaline and catecholamines, okay? So really important. These are really important neurotransmitters to help us focus, perform, think, and then, of course, deal with stress. Now, the problem is when we are chronically stressed, right, from an emotional perspective, we're going to deplete a lot of serotonin. We're going to deplete a lot of dopamine, and then we're going to use that to make more adrenaline. And over time, adrenaline will be depleted too, which means you may have a harder time dealing with and adapting to stress. That isn't good either. And so really important, these neurotransmitters, when they go down, like serotonin, sleep's going to be a big one, big issue. Now, guess what happens when you're not sleeping? Well, you're not recharging, you're not healing. So you can see when neurotransmitters start to go, they can really start to affect everything else, because then sleep starts to go, recovery starts to go. And then from there, other issues like digestion starts to happen, and then gut infections. And then before you know it, you're on an acid blocking medication, an SSRI. Then you're on some kind of a cholesterol medication, or maybe a libido enhancer, or like a Viagra kind of medication, because all these issues start affecting everything downstream. So serotonin is one of the first, dopamine is going to be one of the second. So cognitive focus, thinking, performing in that perspective, feeling like life doesn't have as much meaning because you're not getting that, those reward centers of the brain aren't lighting up. So really important. When we're stressed, we got to get to the root cause of where that stress is, all right? One of the things people tend to do when their dopamine levels and their serotonin levels start dropping and they start feeling worse, they start going to refined sugar. Refined sugar, processed sugar increases the flow of those neurotransmitters across the blood-brain barrier, and you get an artificial bump. And then, of course, the extreme is you start drinking alcohol to the excess and start doing drugs and stimulants, cocaine or other medications to really bump up a lot of those neurotransmitters artificially. Now, the problem with doing that kind of a support, it's like whipping a tired horse and expecting that performance, that little increase in performance to be something long-lasting. No. And once you're done whipping that tired horse, guess what? That horse doesn't want to run for you for a while. And that's kind of what people are doing, right? They're kind of putting a lot of their bills, so to speak, on a credit card and not really earning more money to pay for it. So that's the trend that I see in my office with patients that come in. Now, what do we do to fix it? Well, a lot of people have gut infections, so we have to make sure the gut is there's good digestion, there's good enzymes, there's good acid. We have to make sure we're actually eating good protein. A lot of vegans and vegetarians can get in this problem because they're not eating much protein, and two, they're not eating a lot of bioavailable proteins on the plant side unless they're doing a lot of powders. Most are doing a lot of plant stuff and they're not getting enough bioavailable protein. So that's a problem. And they're getting a lot of carbohydrate along with it, which isn't good because too much carbs can obviously create blood sugar issues, dysglycemia, and then that creates more adrenal stress in and of itself. So we have to get the diet right. We have to get good proteins and fats in every meal. We have to make sure we're extracting as much protein from the foods we're eating. We may also want to work on giving amino acids. So I like giving 100 to 400 milligrams of 5-HTP with B6. We may want to give a couple thousand milligrams of tyrosine support spread out throughout the day. That can be very, very helpful. And again, long term, we want to make sure there's some sulfur support in there because sulfur is needed for dopamine metabolism. But in the short run, you probably will be okay with it. But that's something to keep in the back of your head. Got to make sure inflammatory foods, and we get inflammation down. A lot of the mood, kind of the new mood or like antidepressant medications that are in the track to be coming out in the next year or two, they're working on reducing inflammation in the brain. So a lot of the early medications, right, the tricyclics of the 80s, and then you had the SSRIs of the early 2000s. Those work on blocking reuptake ports, which you have pre and postsynaptic neuron, and these medications would block the uptake support, the uptake port above on the presynaptic neuron. So then all of these neurotransmitters couldn't go back up and get recycled, so they would accumulate in this synaptic cleft. Well, the newer medications are actually working on reducing inflammation in the brain, because part of why these mood issues happen is inflammation. Now, we know the root cause of that: diet, lifestyle, physical, chemical, emotional stress. Like functional medicine doctors, we're very well equipped at fixing that because that's in our paradigm, right? Conventional medicine, their paradigm for inflammation support is like an NSAID, right? Or some other medication like the ones they're coming out with. The problem is all these medications have some kind of side effect. Even pain drugs. I mean, ibuprofen kills 19,000 people a year, right? So we know medications on the pain side can be, can definitely be damaging. So we got to be careful. Want to get to the root cause. We talked about amino acids. We may even use things like DLPA, which can be really good. Low amino acids in the long run can decrease beta endorphin. Beta endorphin is a 19 amino acid compound. 19 amino acids to make it. So low protein can even start to create chronic pain issues because that important antidepressant beta endorphin comes from amino acids. So amino acids are very important. We could have other barriers like H. pylori could be part of why there's low stomach acid and low enzymes too. If we don't have good adequate acid levels, we typically don't have adequate enzyme levels because acids play a big role in activating our proteolytic enzyme, right? Pepsinogen to pepsin, and that nice low pH stimulates good pancreatic enzyme output, as well as lipolytic enzymes and gallbladder output too. So very important. Amino acids can be an important part of a functional medicine program. Now, I'll test amino acids and neurotransmitters on an organic acid test. We'll run vanilmandelate and homovanillate, which look at adrenaline and dopamine. We'll look at 5-hydroxy and doloacetate, which look at serotonin. We'll look at picolinate, which looks at amino acids. We'll look at lots of different sulfur markers and other amino acids markers, which can tell us how we're doing there. And we'll look at different gut tests as well to see what's going on from a gut infection standpoint. And then just looking at someone's diet. If they're eating a lot of inflammatory, junky foods, or they have a vegan, vegetarian background, and they're eating a lot of harder to digest amino acids or incomplete amino acids, that could be a problem for sure. So we really want to get to the root cause of kind of where these mood issues are coming from. And if amino acids are going to be a good adjunct, we'll add it in there. It can be very helpful. You got to make sure other B vitamins are in place, like B1, 2, 5, 6, folate. Methylated B12 can be very helpful. Vitamin C can be very helpful as well. Really, really important nutrients. So make sure if you're working with a functional medicine doc, take a look at your adrenals because they are a big interplay with stress and adrenaline, and dopamine interplay with that as well. Take a look at your gut. Make sure your diet is fully addressed as well. But if you want to incorporate amino acids, I kind of gave you a little idea of how that looks. And if you want to reach out to someone like myself to dive in deeper using amino acids to help improve mood and cognitive performance, feel free to click down below, available worldwide for help. Also, if you enjoy the content, thumbs up, bell, notifications, subscribe, really appreciate it. And we will dive in for some live questions here as well. What's cooking? All right, please how to fast and not to lose weight during the fast, during the feeding period. Well, you just have to make sure if you're going to fast that you are getting enough calories in during that feeding window. So if you have a 6-hour feeding window, get enough calories in for the day. Can you get a false positive negative for H. pylori with a breath test and a blood test? Well, it depends. So probably not for both, but make sure you're looking at IgG versus IgA or IgM, right? IgA and IgM are more acute. When would you suggest the best time to take aminos, protein, when you feel you have adrenal issues? Well, you should be taking them, with every meal, right? So 3 to 4 meals a day. amino acids, supplement wise may only be 2 to 3 out of those meals, which is fine. But in general, you should be eating protein probably 3 to 4 times a day, a palm to a fist to a full hand. Can you test serotonin levels? You mentioned going on PPIs that may have issues with amino acids. I was thinking the cough symptoms were more adrenal related. You can test it indirectly via the urine, and you can look at some of the metabolites in the urine. You can test it directly, but that's more of like a spinal tap kind of thing. So it's not really practical for most people. But you can test it via organic acids, and the marker is 5-hydroxyindoloacetate, 5-HIIA. What does it mean if you get severe bloating after each meal? Solid food, gluten-free, dairy-free, clean organic food. This happens after 7-day liver cleanse with smoothies and soups. Well, I mean, if it's acute like that and it's after a cleanse, I mean, I'm not really worried about it, but, what's it like day in, day out, right? That's the question. What's the day in, day out stuff like? Okay. You suggested taking enzymes and HCl included in the enzyme synergy. Should I get that separately? So what brand would you recommend? So if you're going to do enzymes and HCl, do it separately to start. If like some of your top issues are digestive, that way you can fine tune the enzymes and HCl separately. So in my line, that'd be HCl Supreme or Enzyme Synergy. If you go to justinhealth.com/shop and click on the digestion section, you'll see it there. I'm a vegan. Please, what proteins help not to lose weight while fasting? So if you're a vegan, number one, I would just strongly urge for you not to be a vegan. I would at least go into the vegetarian category where you can do eggs and fish if possible, just because you're not going to get access to a lot of those fat-soluble vitamins and nutrients being a vegan, number one. Number two, eating meat actually kills. There's the least amount of death per calorie if you eat meat. Now, again, high quality animal products, right? Not the CAFO, food lot, junky stuff, right? High quality animals, pasture fed, grass fed, all that stuff is going to be ideal. And remember, just chronic monoculture with crops and stuff and pesticides kills way more rabbits and bugs and snakes and squirrels. We kind of assign, less of a life to a snake versus a cow, right? But they're both a life. So the nice thing about eating high quality animal products, you have the least amount of deaths per calorie eating those kind of foods, all right? But number two, you can add in amino acids like pea protein is going to be a really great protein if you're vegan. And you can also add in just plain amino acids that are more like, they aren't like whole food based, meaning they're kind of broken more into an amino acid category, and just do these free form amino acids. That's a good option. I have one called Amino Acid Supreme or Amino Supreme. That's a good one because they're all broken down and there's no plant or animal connected to it, so to speak. So that's helpful. What are your thoughts on taking digestive enzymes with magnesium? It's probably okay. If your magnesium is like a really good chelated magnesium, like a glycinate or a malate or a citrate, it's probably not necessary though. Is taking a food-based B complex better than nothing? Yeah, that's still good. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, nutritional yeast is a B kind of vitamin as well, so that's cool as well. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, great. Excellent questions. And let me just go back here. There's one that I missed. I'll go back to that question for y'all. Regarding carbohydrates, that's another issue that I find with vegan vegetarians. They tend to be 60 to 80% carbs. That's just how it is. It's very hard to be lower carb on a vegan vegetarian diet. I mean, you can with lots of nuts and seeds and coconuts and palm and avocado, but most don't think like that. The default is lots of carbohydrates, lots of acellular carbs like grains, and lots of starchy carbs. Those are typically what happens. Do you recommend taking HCl and enzymes on an empty stomach? With food's fine. Definitely not HCl, because if your gut's inflamed, taking that HCl can definitely lean on that irritated gut lining and can create more inflammation. So always better by itself. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Comments down below, share, and feel free to reach out. Links below to reach out to myself. You guys have a phenomenal weekend. Take care, y'all. Bye.